divine tree that is worshipped by many generations of people in my village grows on the tall mountain located on the village's west. Apparently, the divine tree loves being watered by women's lustful juices. In order to garner the blessings and protection from the divine tree, the village will pick out a woman to serve it every month. Since young maidens are shy and reserved by nature, the juices they secrete aren't enough to satisfy the divine tree. In that case, the village will be plagued by misfortune and disasters. Because of that, there are rumors saying that the divine tree prefers married women instead. All the married women in the village refuse to serve the divine tree. I, on the other hand, yearn to get picked out by the village every day. After all, I'm born to feel pleasure at its height. Unfortunately, my weak husband can never satisfy my urges. I was planting seeds in the fields when the village secretary, Isaac Holton, ran over to me. His face was crinkled in joy as he exclaimed, "It's finally your turn, Haley." I tossed the seeds aside and excitedly rubbed my hands. "Really? Thank you so much, Mr. Holton." Isaac was pleased by my reaction. He gave me a once-over with his hazy eyes, not bothering to hide the lecherous glint in them. I wasn't bothered by his gaze, but the woman working in the next field shot a look of disdain at us before muttering, "She only married into the Emerson family some time ago, but she's already acting so promiscuously. Fred sure is unlucky to have a daughter-in-law like her." I rolled my eyes and retorted, "You're a shriveled-up old hag now, so it makes sense that you don't understand what a privilege it is to serve the divine tree. I'll definitely satisfy it. You agree with me, don't you, Mr. Holton?" Isaac nodded vigorously. Using the saplings around us as cover, he ran his greasy hand along my thigh. The woman's face turned a ruddy red when she realized that she couldn't win the argument against me. She lowered her head and continued working. I scoffed. Joy bubbled in my heart when I thought of all the rumors about the divine tree. Our village was located in the western region of a massive mountain. A forest stood behind the village. The trees were so tall that they disappeared into the clouds. A divine tree in the forest had protected our village for thousands of years. The villagers would send a woman into the forest every month as an offering to the tree. The divine tree had to be watered by a woman's private fluids. If the woman didn't produce enough fluids and didn't satisfy the tree, a disaster would befall the village. It would also cause the wheat fields to shrivel up, so we would have nothing during the harvest season. According to the rumors, the tree's branches were thick and strong. There were also powerful vines wrapped around the branches that would send a woman over the edge of pleasure. On top of that, if the woman was able to absorb the fluids that the vines excreted, they would become radiant. From my perspective, I was going to have a wonderful time tomorrow. However, the older women in the village avoided being selected as an offering for the divine tree at all costs. The divine tree didn't like shy young women. On the contrary, it preferred married, experienced women. Most of the married women in the village were already middle-aged. The last one who was sent to the divine tree returned with disheveled clothes. Her bottom half was also a mess. At that sight, a fearful expression crossed the face of the village chief, David Kingsley. He claimed that the woman hadn't satisfied the divine tree, so disaster was about to befall the village. To appease the divine tree's wrath, the men of the village decided to deliver me to it after they discussed their options. I'd always admired the divine tree. My husband, Jack Emerson, was totally useless in bed. He would finish within minutes, robbing me of my pleasure. It was why I was absolutely ecstatic at the prospect of being able to serve the divine tree. I was brought to the hall to be cleansed. I was stripped naked, so the men in power in the village could scrutinize me. They discussed among themselves if I would be able to satisfy the divine tree. I didn't feel a single hint of fear under their predatory gazes. On the contrary, I puffed my chest out proudly. I was very confident about my own body, after all. The men gave me a mat and placed a boiled egg on it. I sat down on the mat in front of them and began to twist my hips. The men's eyes reddened as they watched me. A few moments later, David removed the mat, which was now damp. The egg's shell had been peeled clean. David popped the egg into his mouth and patted my shoulder with a satisfied expression. "Good job, Haley. The divine tree will definitely adore you." I smiled, feeling pleased. My body trembled as I exclaimed, "Don't worry, Mr. Kingsley. You can count on me." It didn't take long before news of me being the divine tree's next offering spread like wildfire throughout the village. The men shot strange looks at me when I left the hall. Meanwhile, the women huddled together and discussed among themselves. I heard that she managed to peel the egg. She did. She's such a slut. The men couldn't take their eyes off her when she was peeling it. Fred's so unlucky to have a daughter-in-law like her. I stuck my nose in the air as I walked past them, intentionally swaying my hips in an even more exaggerated